Alright, welcome to the second Mr. VFX tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do the video that you saw in the beginning. First of all, we're going to start off by modeling the bullet in Blender. Blender is an open source 3D software. It's completely free, the best part about it, and it's extremely powerful. Now don't be alarmed if my setup looks a lot different than yours. I just have a different layout. You can do that by going to user preferences. You can find that in the file, or you hit Control Alt U. You can go to themes and then drop down the presets menu. I don't remember which one was preset. It definitely was not this one, but anyways, mine is back to black because I like the look. Alright, first of all, we're going to start by modeling the bullet. So we're going to double tap A and then X to delete everything. We don't need it. And then we can hit Shift A and then come over to your mesh and grab a cylinder. Alright, now we rotate by hitting R, and we're going to rotate along the Y-axis, which is this green line. So you hit R, Y, and it's going to rotate along the Y-axis only. We're going to hit 90. So it's going to rotate along the Y-axis 90 degrees. We can hit the period key when selecting an object to snap directly to it. So we can really get a closer view, or if we're messing with something way over here, we can just hit the period key on the numpad to snap right to this. Now we're going to go into edit mode by hitting the tab button. Now we can see all the vertices here, but if you go down here next to this little thing that says global, you can select edge mode where you select only the edges, or you can select face mode where only the faces can be selected. I'm going to stay in vertex mode at the moment. So if you hit shift and alt, or I think you could just hold down alt, you can select an entire row of vertices. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to scale this on down. I'm going to scale it to 0 because why not? Now I'm going to hit A to deselect that, and then A again to select everything. Now I'm going to add in an edge loop. An edge loop just creates another round of these vertices. So we hit Control R and hover above where you want it. Then we're going to left click to add it, and then maybe scoot it up some, and then right click to confirm its transform, and then we're going to hit S to scale it on up. I don't want it too big. Doesn't quite look like a bullet yet, but we're going to grab this row of vertices and we're going to scale those down as well. It's getting there. Now we're going to add a Subdivision Surface modifier. This is going to smooth out everything. So we're going to come over here to the Modifiers tab, which is this little wrench over here in this big old menu. Click Add Modifier and grab a Subdivision Surface. Now you can see it already did stuff. If I tab out of edit view, and you can see what it's done. Doesn't quite look like a bullet. Well, that's okay. What you can do to give back some more sharp corners, you can add another edge loop by Control R, hover wherever you want to put the edge loop. Like you can be over here and put it there, or be over here. Well, you can click on it, and you see you can already go ahead and you can move the modifier, kind of, basically. I don't know how else to explain that. If I tab out, that's looking a lot more bullet-esque. Maybe if I push the view up to 2, it'll look better. Yeah. Now, to get rid of these really harsh lines, we can click smooth shading, and most of those will disappear. And I think that looks nice. You don't have to go too detailed with it, although you can. I'm just modeling a really simple bullet to come out of, like, I guess a 9mm pistol. Now, you can get rid of these menus. I really don't like them by hitting N to get rid of this one, and T to get rid of that one. Now, man, where was I? Okay, now we're going to give this thing a texture. you can see that if it has a texture not by hitting Shift and Z, it's just this dark gray. Also, you're not going to see a whole lot because there's no light in there. You deleted the only lamp earlier. Well, that's okay. If you hit Shift A, you can pull up the add menu, go down the lamp, and I like to grab a sun lamp. I like to see everything whenever I'm working. So I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to rotate X and aim it at this. Now, I'm pretty sure the position doesn't really affect where the light shines with a sun lamp. That's just what I think anyways. Anyways, we're going to hit Shift A, and we're going to add in a camera. Because you kind of need a camera to make a video, don't you? Now if you hit 5 to go in orthographic mode and hit 1, you're going to snap to front orthographic mode. Now we need the camera looking exactly like we are right here. So we can do that by hitting Control Alt 0, and it's going to snap the camera to our current view. Now if we hit Shift Z, we got that lighting across it, and here. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. You're going to, if you just starting out with Blender, you need to switch from Blender Render to Cycles Render, because in Blender Render, the shading is not good. It's an older shading type. It's just not good. Just don't use it. I mean, it's good for certain things, but for what we're going for right now, it's not. So keep it in Cycles. And if you have it, you might as well go ahead and switch to your GPU. If you have a GPU, you can figure out if you do or not by going to your user preferences, by going to the file and clicking user preferences, or Control Alt U, and you go to System, and down here where it says Cycles Compute Device, you're going to click over here, and then check mark whatever you have. I have the AMD Radeon RX 560, and it is great. I have the shading a little backwards for mine. I'm going to rotate on the Z axis, which is up and down. Oop, not 90 degrees. I need 180, so it'll be turned around. So Shift Z again, and see that sun has moved. See if I rotate Z, the shading's going to move. Alright, now we're going to have to give this bullet a texture. I've never seen a gray bullet before, so I don't think we should use it in the videos. Or in the effect, my bad. What we're going to do, we're going to split our view. There's this little dotted line down here, and you can drag it out to split the views. If you made an extra view on accident, you can just grab that same, well, if I'd stop making more views, you grab that same one and pull it down over it. You'll see this small little arrow appear right there, and it'll just close it out, just like that. Alright, I'm going to open that one back up. And I'm going to come over here, down by this new Windows set of diagonal lines, and click on this. Now we're switching from the 3D view, which we're in right now, to the node editor. I like to use the node editor a little bit more than I like to use the materials tab way over here. I just feel I have more control over here. But when you right click on the cylinder, you can hit new material. It's going to add a new material, and then you can zoom in with the middle mouse button and move around if you hold down the middle mouse button. So that's good. Now we're going to have to give this a metallic material. Now I like to use the anisotropic, I think I said that correct, node. It gives it a nice metal-ness to it, but I don't want it super metal like it is now. I'm going to grab, oh, by the way, adding in nodes is the same as adding in meshes and stuff. Shift A, and we're going to click search, and you can search in anisotropic. I don't like that word. But once you have that, we're going to grab a mix shader, and we plug it in. You see it's already changed, because when you add the mix shader, basically this slide bar right here, if you go all the way to the left, it's going to use whatever is on the top, and all the way to the right will use whatever is on the bottom. Now we don't have anything on the bottom, so I'm just going to keep it at 0.5, and I'm going to add in a principled shader. This shader is going to give us things that would usually take a little bit more effort to put in. With the principled shader, it has already added in this thing called Fresnel, however you want to pronounce it. Don't really want to explain it, but it's needed for a whole lot of things. You can do other things like add in subsurface scattering. This is great if you're modeling people and things like that. Subsurface scattering, well, it's doing stuff. Subsurface scattering is kind of like when you shine a light up to an ear and you can see that red glow. That's what it is. But we don't need that. Oh, well, Blender has crashed on me. Thanks, Blender. I'll get back to you whenever this is done. And I'm back. Okay, I went ahead and opened up the other file that I did previously before this tutorial just to make it. See, in my thing I have the principal shader and the anisotropic shader already plugged in. If I hit Shift Z, it's gonna may take a few minutes the first time, but anyways, it's gonna show you a copper looking color. Now I went ahead and I chose this copper color, and I think it looks really nice. I had left this at a 0.5, and I think I turned the roughness all the way up on the principal shader, and I have the roughness at 0.25 on the anisotropic. Alright, now we got our bullet. That's great. Now we have to animate it so it, comes out of the gun. Well, if I hit Shift Z, I can get out of this. If I hit, you've seen how to close it. Well, I close that and I hit Shift Z to go into this mode, or you can just select it from over here and then drop down and go back to solid or whatever. If you hit N to bring up this side tab, and we're going to click background images. Now I already have a background image brought in. What you're going to want to do though is hit add image, movie clip, uncheck camera clip, and then find it with this button, but I already have mine brought in, so I can just click it there. And I'd like to know why it's not showing up. Okay, here we go. Now, we're probably going to need to scale this bullet down, but let's hit Alt-A to play the video, or you can just hit the play button back here, and mine's not refreshing. Sometimes all this is just really finicky. You can snap to the beginning of the timeline and at the end of the timeline by hitting Shift and then clicking the arrow keys. And mine's not. I'm trying to get this to work. Oh, okay, there it goes. I had it on image. Anyways, if we play it, see my hand comes down, and then I shoot. Well, we're going to trim our timeline to fit within the parameters, and it should only be like 5 frames, I think was mine. And with the arrow keys, you can move frame by frame. I think I want to fire the bullet out right here-ish. I'm going to move it into view. I'm going to put it about midway into the barrel, and I'm going to scale this down. This is my bullet, however, okay, never mind, it's fine. I'm going to rotate it on the Z-axis 180 degrees so it is looking this way. And then I'm going to hit I and then click location, my bad. That's going to add a keyframe right here like you can in Hitfilm. A keyframe for its location. So if I go a few more frames, I'm only going to go 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to push it out about right here. That seems fine to me. Then I'm going to add another keyframe by doing the same thing. I, location. Now if you go back, you're going to see that bullet has moved. Boom. But we don't want to render out this bullet for all these frames over here. That would just be dumb. I think it's dumb. What we can do, we can go to the start of our animation, and our start right down here, it says 0, but we're on frame 81, so we need to change our start to 81. and then our end to whatever our end is right here, 85. That's only going to make us render out 5 separate pictures. We're going to export this as a PNG sequence. Now we're going to come over here to this tab because I'm pretty sure we're ready. Whoa, that's a little crazy. I like that. We're going to come over to our little menu over here, our render menu. Now we're going to scroll on down. Make sure your resolution's set to 100%, by the way, just so it works. And then you can set the resolution of the camera to whatever you need for your footage. Mine is 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to keep that at 100%. We're going to use a bunch of PNG sequences, so make sure PNG is selected. Select RGB and alpha. That means the background is, well, it's not going to have a background. And then click 16 so we get more color depth. We're not going to mess with the light paths, although in larger renders you probably should. Now samples. This is really cool. Samples is like if I hit Shift Z. This is basically the resolution of the image. I can't really explain it. It just makes the image look sharper. Oops. If you hit, by the way, if you want to zoom in and then move around the camera view, you can zoom in with the mouse wheel and then hit Shift and then middle mouse wheel to move around. But if you zoom in on the bullet right here, see I have 32 samples just on the preview. And you can see whenever I move around, it builds up. Well, that's exactly what we need. So, in my render samples, I have it set to 128. This is a small thing, so I'm going to keep it like that. And now, transparent. We're going to have transparent checked, by the way. Don't pay attention to my background. That's not needed right now. Have transparent checked, so it's going to render everything else out as a blank image. I mean, everything's the background. It has no background. We only have the bullet there. And we can scroll down to the performance tab. Now I have this thing called auto tile size. If you're using a CPU, don't pay attention to this, but if you're using a GPU, you might want to pay attention. This auto tile size will automatically figure out what tile size is best for your GPU. And mine is 240 by 216. You can do that by going to Control Alt U and going into add-ons and typing in auto tile size. I think, yeah, render auto tile size. Drop that down, or make sure that's checked. Save your user settings, whatever, and then it should be over here. If not, you probably just have to close out Blender and then bring it back. Well, let's go ahead and save by hitting Control and S, and we saved it. And then coming up here and clicking this, well, first we gotta set a destination. I have mine set as bullet freeze tutorial, whatever, right here, and I already have them rendered. Well, just click animation, and that's how you model the bullet and how to animate it and how to give it a texture. It's quick in Blender, and now once you have this all rendered out, we're going to jump into Hitfilm for the next part. Thank you, and hope to see you in the next video. Adios.